Well, as you can see, we're in a red hellscape, and we both look very tired. That's because we just slept through Terrifier 3. We didn't really sleep through it, it was just fucking boring. So Aiden, what was the plot of Terrifier 3?
Terrifier 3 picks up, I think, 5 years after the last one. I'm pretty sure it says 5 years later, and they talk about how the girl from the last one was in a mental hospital for 5 years. But also the movie starts with like a scene of Art just killing some random people at some time that's not very clear.
Well, that says present day, and then this is 5 years ago, and then it says present day again, but presumably based on events later in the film. It's actually, the second present day is slightly before the first present day, to explain the timeline.
Yeah. It picks up after the last one where Sienna killed Art the Clown, but Art the Clown didn't die. He's back, and the movie alternates between scenes of exposition and scenes of Art the Clown killing people. And everyone dies, and then a little girl falls into a portal to hell when the demon lady is killed by the magic sword. But Art survives because Damien Leone said there's going to be one or two more of these, so I guess it's like that.
Be like that.
Connor, what'd you think of Terrifier 3?
Well, after watching Terrifier 2, I decided to go out on a limb and watch Terrifier 1 to see if Terrifier 2 was just awful and the hype or whatever. But Terrifier 1 was marginally better, mostly because it was 90 minutes long. And Terrifier 3 is marginally better than Terrifier 2, mostly because it's shorter as well. This movie cold opens on a child murder because Damien Leone
Got a bunch of complaints about...
People were saying he's too edgy, and then he said, well, I'm going to start my next movie on a freaking child murder. And it's a 20-minute scene.
Also, the last movie force-fed you an hour of exposition before anything happened, so you had to get some people to whet their appetites for the half hour.
You had to whet the appetite with a child murder that
he's
doesn't...
going to force down your throat.
Well, it doesn't play back into the movie at all, so forget it even happened. None of the kills ever do. They minorly establish certain characters that are designed exclusively to get killed off. She now is living with her aunt and uncle and cousin, all of whom are killed except the cousin who goes down to hell, and then they're going to do a Sierra Goes to Hell plotline. Sierra gets her mythical sword again to get in a sword fight with Art again.
Yep.
And again, she beheads one guy, and then Art this time escapes. They didn't want to do another death fake out because they know they're going to make at least two more of these suckers because they make ungodly amounts of money off of no budget, and the budget that they do get comes directly from Kickstarter backers. The problem that he didn't learn from the previous movie, which was 2.5 hours long, is that horror movies should typically be 90 minutes. Especially slasher movies, because we just want to see the kills. It has like less than average slasher kills, but again, it's just these super long, droning slasher kills, most of which aren't of actual like important characters. But there's like also an important underlying lore to these movies that most, like Friday the 13th and shit does not. Friday the 13th, like all the campers are there. There's one camper that's the most important girl, usually girl, sometimes it's a dude. But mostly girl, and they're super important, and they're gonna beat up Freddy Krueger, Jason, or Michael Myers. But that happens here, except they have to get in a long, drawn-out sword fight. But there's characters that are introduced, like True Crime Podcast Lady, and the commentary is like, isn't it messed up that people do true crime podcasts, and then it cuts 5 minutes later to her and her boyfriend getting killed? By getting a chainsaw to the ass and him chopping off the boyfriend's genitals with a chainsaw.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes long. It just goes on and on.
And it also, like, the movie's called Terrifier, but it isn't really suspenseful or terrifying.
It's
just kind of gore. occasionally, but mostly exposition. They should call this series Exposition-a-Fire. Really boring Exposition-a-Fire. So I kept like damn near like nodding off during the movie because it was just so ungodly boring for the hour 45 minutes of the 2 hour and 10-minute runtime that wasn't kills. And even the kills were like, that's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden it goes on way too long. And he's like, what if he cut his penis off with a chainsaw? And it's like, okay. And I don't think they allow...
several important characters die off screen despite all the time spent on
the uncle who gets a bunch of exposition and setup dies off screen. And the brother dies off screen.
And he was like a major character in the last
movie. He was like the cousin in the last movie where he's the most important. She has to protect him because she loves him so much. And this one, she didn't really give a fuck about her stupid-ass brother, and he dies off screen, and so does the uncle. But the aunt does die on screen in some sort of, like, convoluted death scene to be edgy.
Very convoluted.
And then this cousin goes to hell, but we know she isn't dead because she survived because her angel gave Serena Wolverine healing factor, which caused her hands to heal up, I think was the implication, so she knows that she's alive, so now she's going to venture to hell to fight Art the Clown in hell.
I'm going to go find you and save you.
Yeah, she knows as well as the audience the audience doesn't know until she telegraphs that she somehow knows that she's alive, possibly because of the mysterious Wolverine healing factor she got. It's just stupid. One thing that really bothered me was the Foley in this movie, because sometimes they really overdid the Foley where it was like really poorly mixed to be too loud, like super loud footsteps. Everyone in the house can hear that is supposed to hear the footsteps and no one else can hear it. So then everyone's like, no, Art the Clown isn't real. He's not coming to kill you. And then you hear... and he's running around and she's like, what about the footsteps? And they're like, I don't hear it, bro.
Yeah.
I don't hear it. But then she's like, I hear it,
demon woman slitting her wrists, and
it's like also really like poorly timed. Like it's really badly synced Foley. Like whoever did the Foley for this like made off like a bandit taking the Kickstarter backers' money and brought in. He's like, it's loud Foley. It's not very good, but it's loud. So the Foley was kind of ridiculous in the movie. I think he tried to do cool shots, but he just wasn't that good at it. Whoever the cinematographer was, I don't know if Damien shoots his own movie or what. I'm not even gonna fucking bother looking it up, but
yeah,
they tried some things with cinematography, and it usually fell flat. All the characters were pretty much uninteresting, and the climax was a retread of the last climax, pretty much, where a bunch of people gruesomely die that aren't that important, and then the main character uses her magical angel sword from her dad's comic book. It's lore. It's all lore.
Yeah, it's got the contrived lore of like all those fucking like YouTube horror things, like fucking goddamn Five Nights at Freddy's, and like fucking Poppy's Playtime, where it's like
this is like
the most boring shit you've ever seen. But then it's like, oh, but if you read all the lore, in the lore, there's like a guy got turned into a robot, and his magic soul particles made the robots alive, and they have ghosts in them. Yeah. But in this movie, it's like her dad was possessed by a weird angel that lives in hell and made a gremlin monster make her a magic sword.
It may or may not be the Virgin Mary. Everyone in this movie is kind of religious, and I think they might try to do a theme of religion. I do like that it's like, okay, let's bash on the people who are fans of true, or who like to make like true crime podcasts. Isn't that fucked up? Here's a part where Art the Clown hacks a child into pieces for no seeming addition to the actual narrative. I saw a really funny Letterboxd review when I was looking into this. Someone wrote this review where they're like, it's unequatable how impossibly interesting, and then it looked like he went on like thesaurus.com to like do all the words, and then his conclusion was that the movie was a 97 out of 100. And I'm like, what took those 3 points off? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you could be the biggest fan of this type of movie where you're fine sitting there for 2 hours for the most boring shit ever, to watch some gory kills. That's fine. There's an audience for this. It's not me, but there's an audience for it, apparently. Mm-hmm. But like 97 out of 100, where did those 3 points go? Because I saw a lot of things that should have taken off well over 3 points. But if you're genuinely going to say, you got to dock 3 points, what the fuck did you just dock the 3 points for? The acting was bad. The shot composition and Foley was bad. There were 30-minute scenes that didn't tie into the plot when this movie should have been no more than 90 minutes long. Mm-hmm. Where the fuck did you take the 3 points off? Just give it 100 out of 100. And who goes on a 100 scale? Like, who's that scientific? How many times do you have to watch? How many times do you have to watch a movie to determine where you're going to take 3 points off? Who's like, there's just this one scene that I didn't think was very good. Like, what the fuck was the 3 points taken off for? Anyways, another really stupid movie in the Terrifier franchise. Aiden, what are your thoughts on Terrifier 3?
Terrifier 3 is more the same. It's, okay. Terrifier 3 is more the same. It's excessive and long. Not as long as the second. But everything in this movie just drags on for too long. It essentially just alternates between pointless kill scenes and endless lore exposition. And the lore in these movies suck. Her dad drew a comic of an angel because he was possessed by the woman in heaven with the demon pet that made a sword. And like the little ghost girl from the second movie turns into a scary gremlin creature with one eye. And she has to kill the gremlin creature first to kill Art. And they have like all this lore about like demonology and stuff. And it's just like filling time. Just
wasting your time.
You know what this movie is. It's a 90-minute movie of random kill scenes made for kill count. It's essentially just a movie that you can get all the experience out of from watching the fucking kill count on YouTube. And they pad it with really dumb lore about some girl the director wants to bang having a magic sword. And everything just goes on so long. When the true crime girl and her boyfriend get killed in the shower, the scene's like 20 goddamn minutes. Like, there's like scenes of Art pissing first while they're making out in the shower, and then he breaks through the glass and he starts cutting them up, and then
Art pisses like 4 times in this movie because at one point I don't think they had the budget to shoot another kill scene, but he kills Santa Claus to steal his Santa Claus outfit because this is apparently a Christmas movie, and Art just starts pissing himself and then shooting everybody.
Yeah.
And then at one point he bombs a mall Santa display.
Yeah, he bombs the mall to kill a bunch of kids.
He's not a slasher with a token weapon. He likes to use explosives, handguns. Yeah.
He's a creative guy. He just sets off a bomb in the middle of the mall. Yeah, it's all so excessive. Like the Santa Claus scene goes on for like 20 minutes where he's like giving all the kids toys before the bomb goes off, and the fucking shower scene's 20 minutes, and it's got like cutaways to him pissing and him making like snow angels in the blood. Everything, all the dialogue and exposition scenes are basically the same, where they're just never-ending fucking slogs. I don't really know what to make of the whole thing. It's all kind of a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
And this one's a lot more tolerable than the last one for its length mostly. Like, this movie is like 20 minutes shorter, and if it was 20 minutes longer, I think the kills would have all just been 5 minutes longer.
Yep.
For some reason, they didn't shoot kill scenes with any of the important characters, except for the mom who gets a glass tube put in her throat, and then she gets rats put down the glass tube to go in her stomach, and then she gets her throat slit, and it's all like really convoluted and over the top in a bad way. I like gory horror, I like slashers, but it's kind of just like the excessiveness kills the pacing, where you're just alternating between these 15-minute long scenes of talking and then 15-minute long scenes of killing.
You know what would probably make this whole thing justified? You got 6 or 7 horny teenagers that are hanging out and they have no story and no plot and there's no fucking lore, and Art the Clown comes out and kills them.
Yeah.
And it's 75 to 90 minutes long.
Pretty much.
That's what would save the Terrifier franchise.
And I like the use of practical effects and stuff. There's a few cool little practical gore things that happen, but it's all just such a slog to get to the parts that are kind of neat and have kind of cool effects, and then it just goes on and on. It drags less than the last one, but it's way too long, and they're just like, pace is so bad. Their pace is so bad. There's no flow to it. It's just alternating scenes between the exposition and kills, and it kills all the momentum, and it's just not very good. So Connor, would you recommend Terrifier 3, the Christmas one that came out in October?
No, I'm gonna have to go hard pass on this one. I think Damien's like, you're right. I did go a little far in a few places. The movie was a little long, a little boring, so I'll fix that. And then he made the movie like 10 minutes shorter, but still over. He made the movie like 10 minutes shorter, but still well over 2 hours. So I thought it was another awful movie. It's exactly what the second one was, what seems to be like the gold standard. Like the Terrifier fanboys like that one. And if that's what you liked, go ahead, man. But fuck no, I would never. I couldn't possibly recommend this one though. So Aiden, would you recommend Terrifier 3?
Hard pass. It is just excessive in every way. Excessive when it comes to the lore and the talking and the killing. It just drags on. They need to hire me as an editor and a script writer, and we're gonna put Art the Clown in a mental hospital where a bunch of people are like, I'm crazy, and they all start hallucinating a clown, but it's not a hallucination, and he kills them all, and it's 87 minutes long.
Yeah. I think Damien Leone, if he just I think Damien Leone, if he stopped being somehow both awful at writing movies and yet simultaneously pretentious, could do it as well.
Probably.
Like Sean Cunningham and shit could figure it out. So. There's like 9 Freddy Kruegers. I also feel like that's it. Fuck it. I'm not talking about this shit anymore.